I was involved also in the part when we were writing the project and IDing the package of the exchanges, like on behalf of Anibar. I think that it started to be something enabling like the exchanges between the countries primarily. But throughout like the implementation of the exchanges, what we learned is that it can happen also in an ad hoc way, and we don't need a project to do the exchanges. What we have experienced as hosting in this case with the NKSS bringing programs is that the idea was to have only one exchange, and we ended up having 3 exchanges happening that came very naturally. And out of the exchanges now we are talking more like with the people that were involved here on how to further continue exchanging and bringing program from there. So I think this is quite important what happened in this regard specifically, because it enabled beyond the project scope to see the possibilities that it's not so costly to we can work things out even if the budget is not there. Because there is this will to just exchange programs and to do it. And in the case when we were sending out programs in Macedonia and Jadro, and then in Pogon in Croatia, it was that we were enabling something, because we did send out programs and film programs and productions from Kosovo. So both parts were screenings. It was helping a lot into what we do in this regard, because it was helping promote the work that it's being done, but also in some sense it grew connections with the users and the audiences that were following the program. So for example, specifically in the Croatian exchange, when we did send out the program, is that we were having also productions from the Anibar Animation Academy, which is an education program that we do, and we were screening specific films that they did. So it ended up having a further on, which is now continuing conversation of how can we involve the Croatian animators into the teaching program here and learn from the experience there. So both sides of the exchanges of hosting and then also sending program, I think it wasn't just a tick to do something and we did send out a program. In both cases, the conversation ended up being followed through and then being developed into something that could potentially turn out to be a more structured exchange that we do between the organizations, and not just in the framework of the project and something that we have contractual in this case that we need to do. It was quite interesting because we had contemporary dance, and in Kosovo in general we don't do contemporary dance, so we don't have even activities of contemporary dance. It was opening a door, what can we develop here? It was quite new, and people were not so much understanding contemporary dance and what it means. So that means that the audiences need also to be educated in this kind of activity. It was quite interesting, I would say, but this also emphasizes the importance and what these exchanges are aimed for, in order to bring the expertise of the country, because we are so good at other things in the cultural activities that we do, but with a contemporary dance, it's non-existing, and then in Serbia it's quite developed. So it's in comparison to here, so it was some kind of opening a new door of possibilities to. It has been a roller coaster, implementing specifically this Reg Lab project in general. And Anibar's experience and our role inside of it, it was a roller coaster to sum it up. But in general, it was a good experience implementing a project that involved so many partners, and like being so much focused into like the Balkan and the ex-Yugoslavian countries. But then in some sense, we saw also a lot of differences and like problems that arose of having so many partners and implementing so different activities, because I think in some sense jumping from like program exchange and co-productions and then hosting assemblies and like understanding networks and everything, it's not something that it's our primary things that we do as an organization. So like it was a learning experience, but then also something new that we learned, but maybe struggled along the process to maybe implement and like do. All of us are so young within the Anibar organization. Like the old Vulnet is 32 years old. I mean, I'm 25 now, but I have been managing the project since the beginning. So it's like back dating 3 years. I was 22, 21 when I started. And then it was somehow the context of the other countries and the other partners and like all the organizations are all well established in some sense in the independent cultural scene of the represented countries. For us, it was like the perception of the independent cultural scene quite different because of all of our history and how we started and how we do it, how we did it, like the organization, the festival, the cinema, all of the work that we have done and for the past 14 years and personally 10 years now. It was quite different and in some sense maybe it grew some kind of not understanding why the things are being done like that, because for us it was like, yeah, but they can just like do it or something. So it wasn't so much like thinking and talking and doing so and not making it more not impossible, but like hard to implement the activities. I think it opened quite a lot of conversations amongst ourselves on the perception of like independent cultural scene and like the way that the things are done in the other countries, because like through the project we understood like each country's position and like all of the work and all of the perceptions and everything that's happening in the country. So one thing that it did, it opened a lot of discussions that are not like ended or they still continue and they still are being talked about. I think because prior to the war, it represented a lot to the community, like the cinemas. It was there were 32 cinemas all around Kosovo. So in every city and every in 32 is like quite a lot for a population so small that we have. And it represented a lot for like the communities back then. And it was somehow integrated into the education of like the young generations after the war, because it was the easiest cultural activity that we could organize. So like just screening some films and doing, but it served for the community way beyond the purpose of like the film and the cinema that it is primarily just like going and see a movie. People were affiliated in some sort of more personal kind of way with the festivals, with the cinemas, with film in general. And it was used a lot as a way for educating and like speaking about important topics and like doing cultural activism through like the medium of film in general. I think most of the reason was because of that. And we still now, like, I mean, in general, there are other parts being developed, but this is like more strong because of back in the days when like Anibar started or DokuFest started, or like the cinema that we manage now, or Lombardi in Prizren, were like symbols of like resisting, but also emphasizing the importance of having cultural in everyday life, because it was not being provided anywhere else. So it's associated with much more important and substantial things for people rather than just being a cinema in this case.